All right, everyone, it's time for political strategy. Let's talk about the Democrats' plan for the lead up to the 2028 election. Yes, I know that Trump hasn't even taken office. The 24 election only happened a couple weeks ago, but you've got to play the long game if you're going to win in politics. I can tell you exactly how the Democrats can win and exactly why there's a pretty good chance that they end up losing anyway. The right thing to do. And keep in mind, I don't support this. I voted for Trump. I approve of much of his agenda, and I'm wishing him well. I hope that he does a good job. I do this for every president, although some of them really disappoint me. Bush, Joe Biden, and etc. Here's what they should do from a completely strategic standpoint. And keep in mind, while you may be mad at the Democratic Party right now, there's no guarantee that they don't reform as a party. It's just that it's an off chance. I want like a party of JFK. If they go back to sort of their Union Dem roots, I would be more inclined to support the Democratic Party. Not as a partisan or anything like that, but ideologically speaking. The Republican Party is not necessarily my natural home. I don't believe in moralism. I'm not a conservative. Fiscally, I am because, I make enough to be taxed. Other than that, and guns, I don't really side with either party because both of them have some wonky ideas. Here's what I would do. Let's say that I was commanding the Democratic Party. I would command them to use their fiscal leverage, which is significant, to co-opt elements of the uniparty Republicans in the House, which is going to be very, very narrow. I would obstruct Trump's agenda completely, and I would spread propaganda during the meantime about how he was weak and how it was his fault that he didn't appease his core fans. Alienate them, basically. Alienate the MAGA movement as much as possible, while picking off congressional seats in the midterms. Of course, then you can say, well, Trump has failed the party and stuff like that. So that alienates partisans as well. Not all of MAGA's partisan. For example, I'm not a Republican, but I voted for Trump. I consider myself a MAGA populist, generally speaking. Not in every way, but in most ways. Alienate both of them. And then what you do is you unleash a dark horse candidate in the 28 election. You go Obama mode. You don't nominate Harris because quite clearly she's incapable. If she's against Vance or DeSantis or anyone like that, she loses. You don't let it go far left because, of course, the Democratic Party fundamentally is a core neoliberal movement. They don't even like the leftists. They just promise them shit during election season and then forget about them once they're elected. This is why the Occupy Democrats were able to pick off a few seats because you had some neoliberals in weak districts and they weren't capable of weathering the storm. Although I would note the squad is beginning to dissipate. I'm sure that the neoliberals are very, very happy about this. So here's the playbook. Here's what I would do if I were a Democrat, which I'm not. I'm giving advice to the enemy, some people will say. I don't consider them my enemies, I just consider the party woefully corrupted. You alienate Trump from his core fans by obstructing his agenda. So you try to prevent him from doing any of the meaningful things that he genuinely is trying to do. Then you alienate the partisan Republicans by crushing them in the midterms because of that fact. Then you run your dark horse. Because what you don't want is a Whitmer. You don't want a Hochul, you don't want a Harris or an AOC. None of these people are capable of winning, even against a fairly weak Republican candidate. Again, there's a short list of people that are very likely to be that candidate. Even then you lose. Like AOC would lose so badly against Vance, it would be a legendary curb stomping, for example. And that's why I think that they will fail. Because I don't think that they have the intelligence to run a dark horse candidate. Because of the party structure being the way that it is, very, very top-heavy, very, very hierarchical, I think that they're likely to nominate somebody who's already been in the headlines. It's not going to be an Obama-ing. And the DNC only once bucked this trend, and that was with Obama. Hillary Clinton, technically speaking, won against Barack Obama. She was denied that role because she was uniquely unlikable. The reason that she was able to rise to that level is because of her name recognition. Trump had the same advantage in 2016. It was basically, oh, it's Donald Trump. Haha, he's actually running this time. The name recognition is what sealed the deal. Once he had won the first few states, an aura of inevitability set in, and B, just wiped everybody off the face of the earth effectively. Hillary Clinton fundamentally almost did the same thing. The reason why Obama was capable of superseding her is number one, more charisma, number two, younger, number three, less baggage, number four, the DNC fucking hated Hillary Clinton. If you end up with a front runner in the Democratic primaries in 28 who is relatively unlikable, you are very likely to see the same thing. What they might do, though, would be a huge goddamn mistake. They might have somebody that liberals generally like Gavin Newsom. If they're the front runner, this ain't going to happen. They will lose the election. It doesn't matter who the Republican candidate is. I'm prognosticating almost a half a decade into the future at the moment. It's quite fascinating. So that's basically my read on it. I know exactly what their strategy is likely to be. It's just a matter of, first and foremost, you're going to get obstructed by the leftoids. So, they're going to howl rage at any neoliberal candidate that you can field. Effectively, they're Ted Cruzing it more than anything else. This is the fascinating part. Ted Cruz is like, he straddles the fence between neocon and MAGA. He's sort of disappeared now, but he straddles that line. You're more likely to get, if they were smart, they would get like an Obama candidate. Obama did the same thing. He straddled the line between core neoliberal. He was clearly a corporate Democrat the entire time. He's schmoozing it up with Schumer and all these others. But he could appear, he could pretend to be more on the left populist side. If they go with a candidate like that, they stand a chance. If they don't do that, if they go with the far leftoid, they lose, guaranteed, like an AOC. If they go with the neoliberal, it depends kind of on who they're facing off against, but I think they're at a disadvantage. Vance is very well spoken. I think he would do well. DeSantis is very well spoken. He's also very popular among his constituents. I think he would do well. You've got a few others. Looking at the Dem field, though, look at the people with name recognition. Hochul ain't going to make it. Whitmer, uniquely hated by our own constituents, actually, especially the business owners. Newsom, he's probably the most viable of those individuals, but then he gets hammered by the left. So what you need is a dark horse candidate. Their playbook is entirely clear. If the DNC has any sense at all, and we're not sure whether they have any brain cells left that are still functioning after the last election, they will choose a dark horse candidate. It'll be someone that 99% of you have never even heard of. And it'll be fucking hilarious if that happens. The hope, of course, is that that candidate is actually capable of delivering something to people. Now, they're going to have to buck the trend of the Democratic Party, though. Otherwise, they're just going to raise taxes and try to ban the AR-15 in a doomed attempt or something like that. That's about all. Peace out.